So you and your 5 friends want to play a game of Don't Starve together. With more heads, you'll surely be able to accomplish more tasks quickly and survive, right? Wrong! Your friends all picked Wolfgang because they watched boss rushers say he's the best character, you're all out of food, your friends are all insane, and if starvation doesn't kill you, the nightmare creatures will. Don't Starve Together is a survival game where you and your friends are thrown into a world whose sole purpose is to kill you. Your job is to gather materials, craft tools, and fight off hostile enemies and the environment as you attempt to survive and thrive in an unforgiving world. There are a lot of various nuances about the crafting system, the enemies you'll face, and the resources you can find, and this video is about none of those. Instead, I'll be talking about my personal opinions on what a good team in Don't Starve Together should look like, and what characters are best to pick, so I don't get teamed with a bunch of meatheads who pick a fight with Dragonfly before we even have an alchemy engine. In Don't Starve Together, there are 3 tasks you need to do in order to survive the constant. Gather resources, fight hostile creatures, and explore the world. When you pick a character, while you'll be required to do all 3 of the tasks, your character will most likely be more proficient in some tasks than others when compared to other characters. As such, we can more or less divide characters along the lines of 3 roles: Fighter, Gatherer, and Explorer. Fighters are the characters who excel at fighting hostile mobs. Their perks and character-specific crafts are usually oriented to either combat or helping them get combat ready. Generally, fighters are the best choice to pick in smaller teams. Hostile mobs are the main threat for most of the game, so when you have a smaller team, pretty much everybody is going to have to fight if they don't want to end up as Hound Chow. However, as your team grows larger, the value of fighters slowly decreases, as a large team is usually capable of overwhelming the overwhelming threats with overwhelming numbers. However, while a large team might not have to worry about the hostile creatures, they do have a different worry, which brings us to Gatherers. Gatherers are characters who excel at collecting resources. They usually have perks that allow them to collect resources more quickly, or perks that allow them to speed up resource collection via farming. As the size of your team increases, the drain on your resources increases as well, meaning the Gatherers become more valuable in larger teams. Smaller teams generally don't have this problem because the amount of resources a small team will consume is generally less than the resources they'll bring in. Therefore, as a team's size increases, it's better to pick Gatherers, and as it decreases, it's better to pick Fighters. However, there is one more role to discuss: Explorers. Explorers are characters who excel at traversing the continent. Their perks usually give them a means to increase their speed or means to traverse the continent through other methods. The value of Explorers is a little odd to determine for me, mostly because the characters that could be classified as Explorers either suck, are tricky to play, or are locked behind a paywall. Personally, I think they would probably be more valuable in the early game when being able to uncover more unknown territory is more important. However, in the late game, I suspect that their value will go down as more of the important locations will be known and the need to go beyond the general area of your base decreases. Or I could be wrong. Let me know if I'm a complete idiot in the comments. So what is the ideal team composition? Unfortunately, Don't Starve Together isn't like a typical MMORPG where there is a specific team composition you need to rigorously adhere to, like 2 attackers, tank, healer, scout, and wildcard. The roles are more nebulous and will vary depending on the situation. However, there is one thing I think determines if a character is a good addition to your team or not, and that is the matter of selfishness. Selfishness is a term I like to use to describe how much other players will benefit from you playing as a certain character. For example, take the character Winona. Winona is an incredibly selfless character, because her character-specific crafts can't all be utilized by her team, meaning a team will always benefit from having a Winona. Contrast this with Wolfgang, who is a more selfish character. Wolfgang has a variety of perks like dealing twice the normal damage and being able to use certain items without incurring a speed penalty. However, all of Wolfgang's perks only benefit Wolfgang, meaning the team gains very little from having a Wolfgang on it, apart from an extra body to do more work. It gets even worse when you look at his character-specific crafts. No other character is able to use or benefit from his dumbbells or his gym, so no one is able to benefit from them. If we were to contrast this with the other character Wolfgang gets compared to, Wigfrid, then we can see that Wigfrid is a far better character for a team than Wolfgang. Wigfrid deals 25% more damage and takes 25% less damage, meaning that she is generally a weaker fighter than Wolfgang. However, Wigfrid's character-specific crafts include battle helmets and spears that anyone can use, and songs that anyone can benefit from. Wolfgang might be the better character overall than Wigfrid, but a team will benefit more from having a Wigfrid than if they were to have a Wolfgang. As such, when playing with a team, you'll probably be better off picking your characters that are on the more selfless end of the spectrum. So that's all I have to say. There's definitely a lot more to picking characters in a team setting, like character synergies, and I definitely didn't cover anything related to how each character plays, but I'll leave that to people who are more dedicated to this game. Feel free to leave in the comments your best team compositions and why they worked. My favorite team comp is Wendy and Wigfrid. Bye!